What's up YouTube? Thanks for watching last week's episode of the BJJ vlog, the kids episode. So today is a whole new week, new subject. I got a lot of positive feedback, a lot of people liking what we do for the kids and everything, and I hope that you will share the message we have with the BJJ as well, with the kids camp. Hope it's going to be a great success, but you'll see in a few months when the moment's there. We're going to cover it as well in the BJJ vlog, but for this week we have a new subject, and the subject for this week is competition. And not so much competition itself, but more about the rules. So I have two rule books here, BJJ rule book, as you can see, and the rule book of the European Great Jiu Jitsu Federation, based on the rules as issued by the Jiu Jitsu Global Federation, inspired by Hickson's ideas. So I got some questions about rules, competition and everything. So let's first talk about the difference between both rule sets and why there are two different rule sets. So first of all, let me say that BJJ rules are they have been around for many years, and they've been formed and tried to be perfected throughout the years, but well, as with any rule book, it's not perfect. So in the BJJ, the big difference with the BJJ rule book is that they have advantages. So you get points for trying, basically. Well, not really points, but you get, let's say, well, it's an advantage. It's not a real point, but it's just, hey, very good for your effort. So if you end the match in 0 points, both 0 points, and one person almost had a submission, but the other one escaped, the one who had almost a submission gets an advantage for trying so good with the submission. So there are more examples, but this is one of them. So BJJ has advantages. They are quite well. They try to penalize stalling, but the way they do it, they put it in the rule book, doesn't really work out the way it should. So let's say that a fighter gets a takedown and passes the guard, and he just stays on the cross side position and waits till the match is over. He doesn't really get penalized for stalling, and if so, not that severely. So that's a big difference also in the both rules. And in the BJJ rule book, there are no points for knee on stomach. And why is it? Because the fight shouldn't be about the points, but it should be about progressing in the fight and trying to work for the submission. And a knee on stomach is a very strong position, as you guys know. It's one of my favorite positions, but it's kind of an in-between position. So you go from the cross side towards the knee on stomach to the mount, basically. So only the major positions get points. So passing the guard, or standing up it starts. So takedown, passing the guard, mount, and back control are positions for points. Yeah, and there's a lot of questions and doubt sometimes about, you know, how the scoring of the points works. So I want to explain that to you guys a little bit as well, because it can be confusing, especially for those of you who start with a competition. So if you stand up, you start and you fight, and you go to the ground, you take your opponent to the ground, but you don't have a proper control. So let's say you do the takedown and you end up in a bad position. You don't have the points, right? Makes sense. If you jump guard, which is for white belts not allowed, so they try to do, and that's a very good thing of the BJJ, they try to do something against guard jumping. You can do it. So you have to have a takedown with a good control in order to get the points. But let's say you go for a takedown, you go to the ground, there's a scramble, so you roll, but you end on top with a control. You'll have the points. But it can be that the fight on the ground lasts for a few seconds. So basically, if you look at a match, you'll see that the starting point and the end point, that's what matters. So in between, well, of course it matters, but it depends on you. Who starts the technique, who initiates the takedown and gets the control. It has to be the same guy. In between it can be a little bit of a scramble, because of course the other one's gonna resist. And that's the case. So the same thing is with passing the guard. Let's say you pass the guard, boom. Pass the guard, go to cross side, try to get a control. The guy traps your foot again. So you go in half guard. You free the foot again, back in half guard. Free the foot again, hold the control for 3 seconds. Only then you have passed the guard and earn your 3 points. But you have a control. The guy traps your foot again, tries to work for half guard. You're stuck in half guard. You fight, 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 struggle. Free the foot, regain control of the cross side position, 3 points again. So that's a thing that's in both rule books. Also with the EJGF rule book, you have to think of when you try to put someone in guard or half guard. If he escapes again, it gets you behind on points as well. And that's a thing. If you know, you have to regulate competition somehow, because if you do submission only, like with Metamoros or EBI, the thing is you can't accommodate as much fighters as you would like. So that's why you gotta have a time limit and a rule book in order to, you know, make it a workable competition for 100, 200, 300 people. So there are some disadvantages about working with the points and even with the new points of the EJGF rulebook as well. But it's a lot more simplified. So no more advantages and penalizing on stalling. And actually I made a video for the EJGF how the stalling works, because that's pretty new. The rest, no advantages, makes kind of sense. It's very easy to understand. But how the stalling works, I'm going to show you, because I'm going to insert the video I made for the EJGF right here. So yeah, that's stalling. Does it mean that when you're working for a control and set something up that you'll get penalized for stalling? No, it doesn't. The referee, it's his decision. The referee decides whether it's stalling or not and lets you know. So as you could see, he touches you and lets you know that the stalling clock starts. But if you're just holding and just waiting and not trying to proceed or work for anything, maybe work for an arm or, you know, work for a position or a transition to a better move, you know, because it's your jiu-jitsu should always be progressive. And that's how the system works, right? So both rule books, IBJJF and EJGF, work in a progressive way. But the way the stalling rule was intended is that the fight should always progress. So even if you have a good control and you stay there, you still have to work to finish the opponent, because that's what it's all about, right? About the submission or dominating at least. So back to the point where I said that both systems, point systems, are about being progressive. Let's say you pass the guard. That's 3 points. You go to the mount position. So you have a full mount position. 4 points, right? So the opponent, he struggles. He turns on the side mount. Still full mount, so no extra points. No really improvement of your position. He turns on his belly. So belly down, you're on his back, no hooks. That's a back mount position. So that's 4 points, right? Then you fight. You're able to get your hooks in. That's a back control. So that's even better, right? So if you control the mount, it's good, 4 points. Then you control the back, even better, 4 points. That's progressive. Then you get the hooks in, even better than the back mount, 4 points again. So that's 12 points going from that position. But if you have the hooks, so you have the back control, you lose the hooks and you just control his back, you don't get any points for doing that, because that is actually down the hill, because that's another real improvement of the position. So you should be aware of it. And the thing, deliberately going back to less dominant position. So let's say you're a mount, you go back to maybe knee and stomach or cross-side even, and regain the mount, won't get you 4 points, because that's just point scoring, you know, that's not proceeding in the fight. And of course, when we talk about it and when reading the rule book, it can be quite easy, but what you should do, or you can do actually, is just look at a fight, maybe even a match of your teammates when sparring, and try to score the points. It can be really difficult sometimes, but my tip is to just, you know, read the rule book, read all the requirements, and also because if we go in the rule book, there's some part, let me see where it is, minor penalties. So read about it, because some things are not allowed in competition, and they might be allowed in training. Maybe you train a lot of no-gi, you do heel hooks, or at your school heel hooks are allowed, because you know you can get caught in a heel hook anywhere, not only in competition, or well, it's illegal in competition, but on the streets, grappling match or whatever. But if you do it in a jiu-jitsu match, it's not allowed. So and some other moves are not really the moves that will get you disqualified. So let me see, for instance, gripping with the fingers inside the opponent's sleeve or pant leg. Same in IBJJF. So if you grab inside like this, that's a minor penalty. So the penalty system applied with the EJJF is minor penalty, you get a penalty. So if you already have a stalling penalty or another penalty for let me see, deliberately placing the foot into the belt, and you do another penalty, and it's your second penalty, your opponent will get 2 points. Very important to understand. And if it's your fourth penalty, you're disqualified. So make sure you know about the minor penalties, the major penalties, right? And especially with the major penalties, there's a list in the rule book with techniques that are illegal. So a lot of people compete at white belt level. Arm triangle, you can do an arm triangle, but it's probably something you do a lot in training. Wrist lock, white belts, you cannot do it. Blue belts can do both. So that's how you know, it progresses. And well, it's a very important thing to know, not only for competition, but also if you visit another academy. You know, it's nice to play by the rules instead of being a white belt or a blue belt, going for the heel hook, boom, yanking the foot and not making any real friends. So read the rule book. So I hope you guys liked this little interview style about me talking about rules. So let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and guys, don't forget to buy some cool Babytank merchandise, maybe a cap or a hoodie. So check out the website onlinefighter.eu, and see you guys next week. Us.